The sacking of Thomas Tuchel by Chelsea is really quite a surprising development. Results on the pitch have been pretty mixed actually since Tuchel won the Champions League with Chelsea in 2021 in his first few months in the job. Obviously, they had a tough loss in the Champions League against Dinamo Zagreb.
I'm angry on myself. I'm angry on our performance.
Still, the interesting part was the indication from the club that this was a decision they'd actually come to before the game, that this is something that they'd been planning for days, possibly even weeks. There have been lots of disagreements over transfer strategy, over tactics, over, I guess, the clarity of the plan that Tuchel had for the squad. There's always been a kind of acceptance that when you take the Chelsea job, it's a pretty short-term assignment. Abramovich always used to get through managers very quickly, wasn't afraid to pull the trigger. And it's clear that Todd Boehly, the new owner, is going to follow in the same vein. They've identified a problem, they've identified, I guess, a lack of alignment, and they've moved quickly just 6 games into the season. Todd Boehly has come into Chelsea, he's come into football with very little / no prior knowledge of the game. He's been doing the club's transfer business pretty much himself all summer. So who knows what he's thinking, if he's thinking, what he envisions a football club to be, which is why this is not going to be a conventional appointment process, because there is so little football expertise behind it. As Chelsea begin their search for a new manager, with names like Graham Potter and Mauricio Pochettino in the frame, I think that's going to show how well and how thoroughly this decision was thought through, whether it is just kind of an itchy trigger finger and they've hit the panic button a little bit, and whether they actually have any kind of succession strategy in place. Graham Potter seems to be the main name in the frame. There's quite a complex release mechanism from his Brighton contract, so any negotiations would probably be quite protracted. And, there's some kind of vague suggestions, I guess, online that Chelsea already have the perfect manager in place, and that is Emma Hayes, the trophy-laden legend of the women's game. Whether she wants to take on that job, I don't know, but it would be kind of amazing.
I've coached a lot of top games, so when you work hard in a project like Chelsea, where the journey of getting to this point is the part of the job I love the most.
If you're a player joining Chelsea, you kind of expect that chaos runs out of the hot and cold taps at that club. It always has. It's part of the culture. For a long time, it's actually been the secret of their success. So I think if you're a player in that dressing room, you might be a little bit surprised. If you're Aubameyang, you might even be a little bit put out. But I think the job of a modern footballer is to, and especially at Chelsea, is to kind of ride these waves out. Chelsea fans have never really been shy of making their feelings known. I think there will be some suspicion, maybe even verging on resentment of how this decision has been made, and I guess the kind of the brutality with which it's been made.
They haven't played well, but he should have been given more of a chance.
The heart's ruled in my head at the moment. I'm disappointed like everyone else.
I think it's a bit rash. I think he should have been given more time. I don't think it makes sense with the transfer policy. I mean, you bring in Aubameyang, less than a week ago, plays 50 minutes, and now he's here at the club.
But if they get a new manager in place pretty quickly, if they identify a clear strategy, and most importantly, if they start getting points on the board and wins on the pitch, then this whole saga will be forgotten pretty quickly.